Hello, and welcome to this, the Crypto Club and Digital Assets Weekly Catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 20th of October, 2024, and as is always the case, for those who watch these sessions before, you'll know we never know quite what we're going to be talking about. Really depends upon who shows up and who's in the audience, but quite often we'll talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchains, whether it's layer 1 or layer 2 solutions, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, any other three-letter acronyms, really. Sometimes we talk about crypto regulation, central bank digital currencies, the metaverse, lots of topics really. We also try and run our Gone in 3 minute sessions, and these are an opportunity for people to talk about their crypto related projects where they get to speak for 3 minutes, just 180 seconds on the topic. They don't get to use slides, give PowerPoint presentations or sharing the screens or anything. So it's kind of an extended elevator pitch, really interesting to learn about their projects. If you'd like to come along to a future session or you'd like to give a pitch, then check out the details and link below. And we do hold these sessions every week, every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time. And everyone is welcome, whether you're a novice or an expert. So with that, let's see who's going to come and join us today. Gabriella, good evening to you.
Gary,
Good evening.
good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
I was reading, Gary, about first, what do you about Donald Trump? Okay, okay, he's involved in a cryptocurrency project called World Liberty Financial.
Okay, and is this a project that he's genuinely involved in, or is it just a project that someone says he's involved in and it's a scam in some way?
No, I don't know. The project aims to launch its own token, yes, which is set operate on Ethereum blockchain.
I'm kind of interested because I've seen a number of projects where people claim, oh, this is linked to Donald Trump, or it's linked to Elon Musk, or it's linked to some influencer or whatever. And actually, it's got nothing to do with them whatsoever. And it's just a scam that's playing this connection. I don't know if that's the case with this particular token. What's the token called? Do you know?
Yes, it's WLFE.
WLFE. Okay.
LFE, yes. The initial public token sale began on October 15th. It's World Liberty Financial. And my question, like always, no, is like, okay, how do you think the launch of Donald Trump's WLFI token might affect the broader cryptocurrency market and investor sentiment? So that's it. Exactly.
Okay.
What do you think, Gary? So if you want, we can. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look. I mean,
Okay.
it claims that this is right. First of all, is it actually the independent newspaper? It looks like it probably is the website, and it's saying that it did a launch and it only raised 3% of what was originally claimed. So my thinking in terms of its overall impact on crypto is it doesn't really matter too much whether it did well on the launch or not. It's the sheer fact that a candidate for the US presidential election is mentioning crypto just raises the profile of it. And I think that's a good thing because that just makes it more noticeable to people who maybe aren't into crypto. So for me, I think if it's a legitimate thing and if it hasn't done well, then it still has a positive impact on crypto simply because it's increasing the awareness in the general public's mind. If it's a legitimate crypto that hasn't done well, does that have an adverse effect on the crypto market? Not really, because most people are into either Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of the major alternative cryptocurrencies. There's a whole range of areas that other people get into, whether that's NFTs, whether it's real world assets, whether it's linking to the metaverse. There's so much other stuff going on that an individual crypto token not doing very well, even if it's backed by a presidential candidate, probably isn't going to have that much of an impact on the crypto market. That's my thinking. But I don't know. you've heard my thoughts. What do you think?
I don't know really. I'm impressed, but on one side I'm impressed, but on the other hand is something because if he start to embrace Bitcoin, the world of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and so on, at the end, I thought that this project makes sense. Yes,
Hmm.
because it's Donald Trump, It's not just I'm on the side and I'm embracing Bitcoin because of no. I think that he has, well, because he needs this not just to support and to Gary.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that for me makes absolutely sense to this project because of Donald Trump.
Okay.
So exactly, Nashville. Yes, I saw this this speech when I went in the US, when I went in Miami. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was really. Oh yes.
Because Miami is a real crypto hotbed, isn't it? There's a lot of
Yes,
enthusiasm there. So
it
yeah,
is. Yes,
I know there's a real crypto community around Miami.
it is.
And Miami, if I remember correctly, the Miami Council or Miami State or whatever the local government thing is, I seem to remember they were one of the first to look at potentially paying their employees in crypto,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite a unique thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a very fine. I think is it Miami that will now accept tax payments in crypto?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I think that months ago or maybe a year ago, no, not Miami, Florida, not
Okay.
just Miami. I think it's Florida.
Okay.
Yes, this state. I don't know if there are another state as well, but Florida. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just remember something in the news that, as you rightly say, it was the state of Florida was accepting state taxes or something,
Yes.
payments in Bitcoin, I think it was. And they were also talking about the potential of paying salaries in crypto as well, which was
And
quite
real
a nice
estate
thing.
as well,
Yep.
there are some real estate as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's quite an achievement, really. So, and again, it comes down to I think all of these things help the crypto market because they just
Absolutely,
increase the visibility of it. So,
absolutely.
so
Yes.
we'll see.
Oh,
Hey, Sue, we've just been joined by somebody. It says SMB, whoever SMB is. Do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hey guys. I
Hey.
just saw the link in the group, so I thought I'd just join in.
Cool. Welcome aboard. Where are you calling in from today, SMB?
I'm from just near West London.
Okay, UK then. That's good.
Yeah.
We get a real mixture. It's fascinating. So we sometimes get people from the States, from Europe. Hey, we've just got Arnold who's joined us. Arnold, I don't even know where he is in the world at the moment. That's why he's got the map behind him.
I'm in the Midlands of all places. Middle
Ah,
of
yes,
the
the center of the UK, but not the center of the universe.
yeah, not quite London. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Well, welcome back, Arnold. SMB, do you have a real name?
Yeah, I do. My name's Ali. I think it was Jeremy. Is he the admin of this group?
I get involved in many groups, and I think Jeremy runs a couple of crypto groups, particularly around Cambridge and that, which I'm involved in. So I run various WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, and I run various meetup groups. So this is just one of many. So this is where it's
Okay.
always funny when people say, "Oh, I saw your details in the WhatsApp group." It's like, okay, that's probably one of about 20 that I'm involved in. Anyway, Ali, welcome aboard. Anyway, it's good to see you. What's
Yeah,
your
thank you.
what's your area of interest then, Ali? Anything in particular in the crypto space?
Well, I mean, I'm like a co-founder of a project. I've been in crypto since like 2014. So like, I met Jeremy at the Bitcoin ordinals event like a couple of days ago, and he just invited me to this group.
Okay. Was that
So,
Toby's event? Is it
yeah, ordinals bot, yeah.
excellent, good. I believe it was a really good thing to go to. Shame I missed out on that.
Yeah, one of the projects sponsoring that event called Tap Protocol is the project that I work for.
Okay. Now
So
I've heard of Taproot.
it's not Taproot, it's Tap Protocol. It's
Tap Protocol. Okay.
yeah, we're quite close to ordinals bot guys. He's a top guy. So we're actually launching tomorrow. So I'm just having a cup of tea and just looking forward to the launch.
Excellent. Okay. What does the launch actually entail then, Ali?
So we raised a lot of money like over the last few months. Like we went on CoinList. So last few months we've been just getting integrated into exchanges,
Okay.
and that took a long process because with a Bitcoin-based project, like it's not simply a case of just getting listed on the exchange. They have to actually integrate the tech we have into the exchange, so it takes a bit longer.
Okay.
But now we've got 5 or 6 top exchanges, so our TGE is tomorrow. So yeah, all the hard work of the last 9 months. Let's see how it goes tomorrow.
Excellent. So wish you luck with that. It's interesting as well that you're aligned with the Bitcoin protocol as opposed to Ethereum.
Yeah, so Tap is built on Bitcoin. Essentially,
Okay.
the narrative is DeFi on Bitcoin. We're partnered with ICP, Internet Computer,
Mhm.
and we're basically the most programmable L1 on Bitcoin. We're staying true to the core principles of Bitcoin. We're not an L2. So yeah, we're partnering with a lot of top DeFi protocols. So there'll be a lot of value locked on Tap, but Tap is essentially a layer 1 on Bitcoin. So it's on Bitcoin. So that's the unique selling point for us. You don't need to wrap your Bitcoin in order to use Tap. You can simply use Bitcoin directly on Tap.
Okay. It's kind of it's interesting you mentioned that because Ken, who's just joined us as well, Ken I think is very much of the Ethereum principle in terms of blockchains and that. So, and Ken and I previously talked about layer 1, layer 2 solutions, and again, my belief about layer 2 solutions is that they're just simply an example of how the particular blockchain is not working. Because if you have to stick it onto something else, then you're not actually using the original blockchain. So that's good to hear. So how have you got kind of like an ecosystem that you're calling layer 1 on a layer 1 blockchain such as Bitcoin? Can you explain that a bit more?
So how ordinals work is they're directly on the Satoshi. So like essentially, I mean the aim of Tap is to currently DeFi on Bitcoin, as in total value locked on Bitcoin, is very low, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Ethereum, it's like, I don't know, I think it's like 40 billion, I can't remember. And Bitcoin is like a couple billion, like it's like 20, 30x less. So there's a huge narrative there. And since like 2011, right, Bitcoin's just been seen as a store of value. It's been seen as boring. It's been seen as like a dinosaur. Like people just hold it because it's going to go up, right? And obviously, you know, it has a lot more, in my opinion, amazing features that you can send money anywhere you want without, you know, in keeping your privacy, kind of. But like in terms of like anything more than that, it's been difficult. So like now that's starting to change. So when Ordinal started like a year ago, a huge movement started. Loads of people started building on Bitcoin, and over the last 12 months or so, that has improved a lot. And now we're getting to the point where like there's really good infrastructure starting to come out, and that's why projects like ICP, we're talking to Arv. So we're going to have like essentially liquidity pools and programmability on Bitcoin. I'm not very technical myself, so I can't tell you exactly how the tech works. I'm more like strategy, narrative, business dev personally. But you can keep an eye on the Twitter. There's loads of updates on there. Our developers are very, very clever guys from Germany.
Good.
So yeah.
Oh, that's good because you mentioned something of interest that I was going to ask about, and it's completely gone now. So I don't know Arnold, you were nodding at some point there. What are you going to add
Yeah,
there?
I was looking up the TVL on Ethereum versus Bitcoin while you were doing that same DeFi Llama. And I noticed that you guys raised a reasonable round for TAP. And I'd be
Yeah, we
curious.
got like 10 million. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's one thing I wanted to ask you, Gary, because I've got a new layer one project. You know, I'm not too enamored by many of these, but I've got a group coming in from Australia. They're actually on a plane right now, and we're doing an event at the Conduit Club on the 29th. So I wanted to put that out to London's best and brightest to see if we can get some people out. But one of the things is these. I don't know what you guys think about these monster rounds that like Monad or whoever's done. You know, they raised 200 and some $1 million for a new layer one, as if they need that much money. And so what we're looking to do is do very similar to what you guys have done. Like, but my background is I was involved with Pillar and they did an ICO back in 2017 and they raised 21 million. And I know from direct experience how that went and how much you actually need as a startup. So when I see these guys doing, you know, 85, 150, 244 million raises before they're even at testnet, I'm wondering,
Yeah.
you're inviting I don't even know if they know what problems they're inviting from an organizational operational perspective, but also just what are you gonna do with all that money? You're just basically gonna bribe people, in my estimation, to
Yeah, exactly.
build on their platform.
Yeah, like anyone who hasn't built anything doesn't need 100 million. That's crazy in my eyes. Like we've been building for like over a year, and like we've grinded night and day over the last like 12, 13, 14 months to the point we've got like products rolling out. We've got a community. We're fully organic. We were literally one of the first projects on Bitcoin ordinals. Like if you've heard of Track, I don't know if you've heard of it. It was literally like one of the first projects on Bitcoin ordinals. So like, yeah, we've been there from the start, and that helps a lot because you understand the whole culture, you understand the whole ecosystem, and people who are just coming in right now without understanding what's happened before, I think they'll find it very difficult to like get their views across and to get a community. Community being the main part, and one of the most important things in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, that was a thing that I think in the early days Ethereum got right, as in that they built an amazing community of developers around the world, and that provided the foundation of things. But Arnold, I guess coming back to your points, I've seen this about ICOs and traditional fundraisers as well. That you get some companies that are going in for like anywhere between $2 and $10 million as a raise, and they've got a full breakdown of how they're going to spend it, how it's being allocated, and everything. And then you're absolutely right. You see these odd ones which are going in for like $100 million raise. It's like, well, you only actually need $5 million. What are you going to do with the other 95 million? Because it's a bit like how anyone who owns a house will know it doesn't matter how big the house is, you will always fill the space. And I fear there's a risk with investments as well. That if you get 100 million, you'll find ways of spending 95 million that just are not efficient. Whereas if you're going down the route that Ali's kind of described of almost like bootstrapping and squeezing and this kind of thing, where every cent or every dollar or every pound counts, you've got a different mindset and you're much more frugal and you're much more thinking about, how do I keep going? How do I turn into a revenue generating, this kind of thing. If you've got $100 million, at what point do you need to worry about revenue generation? You've got 3 years, and then you wind the project up, and you go and sit on a beach, and you say, "Oh well, we tried, it didn't work." And I'm sure we've all seen examples of that happening, where in the ICO craze, as described it, 2016, 2017, there were a lot of companies who were publishing white papers, and they were doing like raises of $20 million or whatever, and 10 million was for marketing. It's like, guys, if you need to spend half your budget on convincing people that they need something, they don't need it.
Well, then what happened was in the winter that followed, they just spent their time doing partnerships and spending that marketing money. That's what they did. So, it's the Parkinson's law of expanding the work expands to fill the time
The
available.
time.
It's the same thing from a money standpoint. So I'm not, I've had conversations with Rob on this. It's like, I just think it's irresponsible and I don't know. It's going to invite problems down the line that, unintended consequences that they're not even planning for. So I don't like it. But, there is an argument that you could allocate a whole bunch of money to legal to fight the inevitable fines or whatever that's coming down the road.
But that's where you go down the route of, if you think about traditional fundraisers, if you speak to a VC and they say, well, what are you going to do with your $100 million?
Yep.
It's like, oh, well, I'm going to take $80 million of it and do absolutely nothing with it. And I'm going to stick it away for a legal fighting fund. That's just not an efficient use of capital.
Not at all.
Although you're absolutely right as well. At times, it's quite a pragmatic approach because those things do happen. But you can't justify, we're just going to take your money and do absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah, we're going to give ourselves a 10-year runway to.
Exactly. And if you've got a 10-year runway, you've not got that burning debt passion of, how do we pay the bills next month?
Well,
which drives things. Sorry, Ken.
I was just going to say, the two reasons founders give for raising a lot of money on the go. First reason is it just means they don't have to raise again. So it means they can spend time building, number one, and also it just doesn't hit their dilution. You've done it once and it'll be years in terms of having to go and also get money from the market. And secondly, both of them are kind of like 50 really. Secondly, they always say it allows them to produce the product that they wanted to produce to begin with without interference from VCs and so forth. Because if you go for your, Series A, Series B, whatever, if your figures are not a certain way, VCs will shy away from you. But on the other hand, my counter argument to that, it's not the VCs that shy away from you, it's the market that shies away from you. So, but that's the main reason when you meet founders who've raised a lot of money where, when you're thinking that's too much money that's needed to do what you're planning to do, they usually default to those two reasons, either together or one or the other. And that's just, and if I was building, the question then basically comes up, would you rather raise a small amount now, knowing that in a year or two, in a year's time, you're going to have to go back to market? Or can I raise a lot of money now, knowing that I can just do what I want for the next 5 to 10 years? There's a lot of pros and cons. You can pick up loads of failures, but then you can also pick up winners. Tron, for example, massive winner. If you're in the Tron ICO, you'll be laughing. They raised, what they did is just copy the Ethereum white paper and didn't even change bits of the white paper that said ETH or Ethereum. So anybody who actually bothered to read it.
Nobody does that. What are you talking I can count on one hand the number of people that'll read a white paper that I sent out. But you're right.
Quite well. So it depends. And because we're dealing with really early startups, I would say in terms of investments in early startups, expect 90% to go bust, 5% to give you back or 8% to give you your money back, 2%. If they come in, that's how you buy your Lambo or whatever, but that's going to be 2% of your portfolio.
So I was just laughing there. I thought I'd do a quick check in the background as we're talking about this. Any ideas what the biggest raises was in the crypto space, crypto funding rounds?
Ever?
Yeah.
I think that's what I was going to say. EOS.
Yeah, I think EOS was pretty big.
Yeah, because that was run by Block One. They raised their money and built EOS, and then what did they build? I think it was called
They didn't.
Choice.com.
They didn't. I know one of the guys that was on the original raise out of Singapore, and I had a private conversation with him when I met him. I said, when I found out, I said, wait, we got to talk about this. And none of that money went to the foundation or went to build out the EOS solution. It stayed with Block One, and then I think Peter Thiel came in and they were doing a deal to do an exchange where they would provide a lot of that money for the liquidity for the exchange. I don't know if
Yeah,
that.
they've done that exchange. I think it's called Bullish or something, based out of Gibraltar.
There you go.
And they spent a lot of money on Choice. I think they spent like 10 million on just the domain name or something like that, choice.com, because they bought that from quite a big venture person or something like that. But choice.com, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. It was supposed to be the decentralized social media, and it just disappeared.
So
you're right. Yeah, it was announced in 21. It was called Bullish. You're right. Well done.
So here you go. You guys may see on the screen now, hopefully sharing. Biggest funding rounds to 2021 versus 2020. FTX. Anyone heard of those letters before? It's like, okay, 900 million. So,
well, having said that, just going to traditional financing, you've also got, I can't remember, I think it was called QB or something like that, but it was run by the ex-CEO of HP. Was this? I think one of the board members was the guy who came over from Disney. But anyway, they raised over $1 billion, and it was supposed basically to be what TikTok is, and it just failed. They went through spent $1 billion, and then in 2 or 3 years' time, closed the company down. And I think the lady who was the CEO is now American ambassador to Kenya, something like that.
It goes to show everyone's critical about the crypto space and how it works, but it's not massively different to the traditional finance world. You want to talk about projects that go badly in the UK at the moment. Some people might be aware of the letters and number HS2, which is a rail project, which is just going so far off the rails, pun not intended. In terms of the money that's being spent on that, it's just going crazy. So, yep, it's not just the crypto world, but we all get blamed of crypto's just full of cowboys who are out to scam people and that.
Yep.
So they say. So yeah.
Yeah, Venom Blockchain has a $1 billion fund as well.
Wow.
Wherever that came from. But yeah, so back to Ali. Well done for doing a sort of normal raise. It's a good model. I hope to duplicate that with these guys. So
Yeah,
again,
sure. Like if you want to connect, feel free to reach out. We weren't actually even planning to do 10 mil. Our original target was like 4 mil.
wow.
And then the momentum just built up to the point we had to like reject like 15 million. Because like
I've heard multiple stories like that of the round is X and some people show up and the round suddenly goes kind of 10X.
Yeah, exactly. So like our original target, when we ended up on CoinList, so obviously they gave us half the raise, and then we had to reject like 10 million worth of money because like everyone was just trying to like FOMO in right at the end. So it's weird how these raises go, and the first few months were like really difficult. Like we couldn't get a penny in.
Of course, yeah. That's how. Why CoinList though? Why did you end up going with them?
They're like the biggest launchpad, like globally, and they've got a good amount of regulation and all that kind of stuff. So, the conversation went well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're like MiCA compliant and all that kind of stuff. So we're focusing on stuff which can give us longevity and stuff. Because I feel like when regulation comes in next year, or like towards the end of this year, a lot of projects that are not adapting right now are really going to struggle.
Agreed.
So that's something I would definitely focus on.
Did you get a lot? You said you didn't get a lot of traction or interest initially. Did you finally find interest because you were a Bitcoin like an alternate to all the others, or was Bitcoin a selling point or not?
I think it was a mixture of things. Like the first one was the market started to heat up,
Mm,
and VC started to really enter the Bitcoin space for the first time, because like we've never really seen raises for Bitcoin based projects, right? Until this bull market. So
mm.
it kind of started to heat up, and because we were one of the earliest builders, like we started having conversations with incubators, and then the momentum just kind of came in. We completed the seed round, and then we found a really big VC that wanted to lead. So it was just like a momentum thing, to be honest.
Did you go through any incubator?
Yeah. We had an incubator called Scry Labs.
Okay,
They ended up joining our team in the end. So
nice.
they incubated us, but then now they're part of the team because they've been there from the start.
Awesome.
Have you guys started
Well, yeah,
raising?
just no, no, not yet. These guys have just well, they raised friends and family like 800 grand, over the last year, really 2 years ago, and they've just been building. And one of the developers is Max K. He was on the original Ethereum team with Gavin Wood, and so this was kind of his COVID project. He dove back into this, and I dismiss I get approached quite a bit, and I just most of it just isn't interesting. But they sent me their white paper, and it was 158 pages. It was a serious research paper, and it was super dense. And I thought, okay, well, let's give them some time. And the more I looked into it, the more I liked it. So, but not to hijack the call, but they were intending to come over to London because they wanted to meet up with the London community, and they're looking to base here. And they had booked an event, and I said, well, let me go out to the community first. Let me talk to some people. And they're like, now we're doing this event. So they booked this for the 29th Conduit Club in Covent Garden. So if there's anybody that watches this or on it, just send me a link, and I'll put you on the invite. So we're just gonna get the community together. All the key developers are going to be there, and they just want to talk through it and meet people, and it's kind of sort of a coming out party.
Is it useful to someone who's not technical to come, or is it more like for developers?
100%. Yeah. No, it's not just
Mhm.
developers. I am not a developer, so I am the
Oh,
problem
okay. Awesome.
to engage with the community. So yeah.
Arnold, as well, if you want to share some sort of contact details, I can put them in the link for
Yeah.
this event as well. And
Well, I
happy
actually
to
have an
share that.
invite. I can send to you if you can put it out, or
Cool, yeah.
put it on the
Yeah.
thread or something. Yeah, I'll do that.
Because this is one of the things I love, being part of the community and helping the community to grow and the network and everything. So
Yeah.
anything we can do to support that is good. It's where
Yeah.
Ali, it was interesting you saying West London, so we're probably not that far apart geographically. But
Oh,
sometimes
nice.
we get people like literally all around the world now on these things. But
Yeah,
London,
I'm just outside West London. Yeah.
okay, we can play the game of how far outside of West London. I went to an event many years ago where someone was saying that they had an apartment in the West End, and I was going, oh wow, I kind of live in that kind of area. Whereabouts in the West End? And he eventually admitted it was Reading, which for those who understand English geography, they'll realise that is just being silly. So,
Yeah. That ain't West End.
exactly, that's right. But yeah, Arnold, share a link or something, and I'll include it in YouTube details afterwards as well.
Awesome.
And if you stick it in the chat here, then people can see it here as well. That'd be good.
I'll send it to you privately. I'll send it to what is the chat here, by the way?
You should be able to do it directly through Zoom. There's a chat facility.
Oh, okay.
If you take a look, it's usually at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
It'll pop up and it'll say chat.
Yeah.
You can put details in there.
Yep.
As well.
There's the invite. So
Good man. Excellent.
thanks. Yeah. Cheers.
So, what would people like to talk about then, apart from that? And Ali, great to hear about the launch. Hope it goes really well with the TG tomorrow. Look forward to learning
Thank you.
more about it as well. And it's nice to hear, as Arnold was saying, a kind of a sensible launch approach of not going for silly money and being a bit more realistic as well, which is really nice. The number of projects I've seen where people have lost their direction because they've just ended up chasing the funds as opposed to chasing the project and the solution. So it's nice to hear a bit more of a pragmatic approach.
Sorry, can I just ask Arnold? I just clicked on the link, and so we just register on there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to confirm or whatever, but yeah.
And it's Amaro.
Yep.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, it means a beautiful place. But I'm not going to go into any of the technical. But come out and yeah, it's quite an interesting one.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Excellent.
Yeah,
so yeah, folks, what else is happening in the world of the term blockchain? Anyone have any other news that's going on? Arnold's staying quiet because he's still in stealth mode with a lot of things he's doing. Ken's working on his Ethereum fork. I remember. How are things going with that, Ken? Making progress?
Yeah, so we still, it's making some progress. So just in case people don't know, what we're trying to do is we keep forking Ethereum, and then we basically are trying to get the whole network state to work concurrently with Ethereum, so that eventually we should be able to fork the whole network state live and just continue from whichever block. And that's what we're doing.
Okay.
But the main thing is we want it to run on sharding. So rather than doing scaling via layer 2s, which seems to be the thing, to do scaling via sharding, which is a bit more difficult, but the way things are going, I think we'll have the time to take, to go ahead and give it a shot, because a lot of the projects are going towards the layer 2 approach. There's not a lot of people working on the sharding approach, so it's just a gap in the market.
Okay.
But having said that, I did read an article about it was somebody basically, I think it was a VC who was very bullish on Base and a lot of the layer 2s, but he was connecting it with AI. And his article was actually when he concluded it, I think he kind of like talked himself out of the layer 2 scenario. But the ethos was with all these AI agents doing things. So at the moment, let's say you want an Uber, you get your phone, you basically call up your Uber, and so you can have a brand preference. So you can say, well, I don't like, Bolt, or I don't like whatever other car sharing service there is out there. And because you've got the app and you quite like it, but if you use an AI agent, the AI agent doesn't really care about brand. So you'll probably pick the cheapest and so forth. Now, if you've got self-driving cars, the AI agent should be in a position to actually order the car for you and also settle the transactions for you. And he was going on about how if crypto basically becomes solve the scalability issue, those kind of transactions will become very natural for crypto, because it literally is the natural better things. And he also talked about identity, and that's why identity is so important in crypto, because if you can solve the identity,
crack that. Yep.
Then it would kind of like become a very interesting paper, actually. I think came out from a university in Geneva, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the most interesting thing I read this week.
It's certainly interesting on the AI side of things, because everyone's getting excited by the likes of Gen AI and that. But the next evolution is certainly agent-based AI, which is this whole idea that you'll have effectively your own personal AI agent, which is like an executive assistant that does stuff for you. And this is where I agree that the next generation of like my AI agent will negotiate with your AI agent in order to establish a contract. So you might do that for pricing of a product or a service, or making a payment and this kind of thing. And I agree there's the massive opportunity to grow there, which is where crypto in terms of tokenization provides the rails to make the payment system different, shall we say. So yeah, I find that's really interesting. kind of that's what's fascinating as well with Ali saying about ordinals as well, because the whole concept of using ordinals, so like a one Satoshi with a link on it, registering something, suddenly means you've got a whole new payment system or payment scheme. That's not, it's using Bitcoin, the platform, but not Bitcoin, the Bitcoin type thing.
Yeah, but also, I mean, if you look at the agents with the Bitcoin, so let's say you've got that driverless car and it needs to recharge itself, but it needs to pay for the recharging. It should be able to negotiate and pay for itself to be recharged, take itself somewhere to be cleaned, and then pay for itself to be cleaned. So there's all these kind of, I mean, it kind of sounds futuristic when you sit back and think about it. It's the kind of stuff we're watching in movies like 20 years ago.
But I've been hearing this for probably approaching 10 years now. So ever since smart contracts came out, and then the DAO type principles established, whereby a car, an autonomous vehicle, could effectively become its own DAO and becomes its own negotiating capability. Exactly what you're describing. Well, I was having those conversations. It must be coming on for 10 years ago now, about this idea that a car, an autonomous vehicle, could be negotiating how much it's paying for its electricity. It could be negotiating how much it's willing to charge to take somebody from A to B. Yeah, I agree. It sounds futuristic, but I don't think it's that far in the future. Maybe another 5-10 years, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AI agents is going to be a very big enabler for crypto. I think. I mean, I've got a friend of mine. He owns a small business, and he's using AI to completely kind of like change his sales, the way they do sales. So what happens is they've got this. I think they wrote it internally. So when they've got a lead, the lead comes in before the sales agent actually contacts that lead. They have like a dashboard that appears with the person's picture, their name, and all the information that can basically they can find online and LinkedIn, and everything's pre-populated for the sales agent. So the sales agent knows so much about the person rather than previously where it was pretty much a cold call. This time it's not. And the other thing that he showed me that was actually quite interesting was the way that the booking happens. So right across his company, they have a shared calendar, and it's the AI that decides. So basically through the learning, it basically decides, well, let's say Ken, let's say me, if I close, it looks back at how many closes I've had over the last 3-4 months. And then you might notice that, well, he tends to close his best sales at, I don't know, let's say 10 o'clock on a Friday. And the customers tend to be companies of this, between 1 and 10 million. They tend to be based in this geographical area. So when it comes to setting an appointment for a company that fits those parameters, it will pick that specific agent and at that specific time to maximize the possibility of a sale. And he was saying that those are insights that they didn't know. They had the data, but they didn't know why, how that happens. So the way that comes around into crypto and so forth, it's all these agents have all these, what I call like internal, are going to have all this internal data about companies, about people, and so forth. And they can then use that data to basically interact with external companies, external people, try and come to deals without you, the human, actually being there in the middle. And the only way they can do that transaction is, I believe, is going to be crypto, basically.
Yeah, I think there's certainly the potential, because that's a blend of doing pre-qualifying leads, but then using the data to go off and do the equivalent, what used to be called cold calling, where you're identifying prospects and doing a call with them. But if that call is effectively an autonomous agent reaching out, whether that's a WhatsApp message, an Instagram thing, an email, whatever, and you've effectively got, it's kind of like HubSpot on speed, but for those who use marketing type tools and that, where you could use it to go off and say, well, customers who we've dealt with in the past like this similar customers of this type thing, I agree. There's a real potential on that.
I mean, with there's been actually quite, I think, I don't know, maybe some of you have got better data on this, but there's been a slowdown of projects coming out because there used to be, right when Nvidia was, share price was shooting through the roof. Every single week there used to be a project launching saying, we are AI, crypto this, AI, crypto that, AI. There's been a slowdown on that. And I haven't really heard of any kind of like crypto-based AI project come out in recent times, unless somebody's got some data on that.
I don't know. This is where I think Gartner got it really spot on years ago when they came up with their whole hype cycle thing of the phases of technology evolution and this kind of thing, of how you get the initial launch of an early innovator, comes up with an idea, then you got peak of inflated expectations, then you got the trough of disillusionment, and then the plateau of reality, or what it's called. And I see that happen time and time again. I saw it happen with ICOs. I saw it happen with a lot of smart contract projects. I've seen it happen with DeFi. I've seen it happen with some NFTs. And I think it's the same, that irrespective of whether it's crypto or not, we do go through these phases. So it's always the case of, we're going to be using, insert buzzword here, and buzzword might have been blockchain, might have been machine learning, might have been AI, probably now says autonomous agents, this kind of thing, and you just see that growth and then it tails off. So I'm seeing it at the moment in the area I get heavily involved in. Everyone's talking about Gen AI. But is it going to grow as big as people think it's going to be? I suspect not, because we're going to get this plateau as people realize, actually, it's quite good as a call center aid to like your chat bot and your customer interaction and that. And it's brilliant at doing things like looking at documents and summarizing. So if anyone's not used Notepad LM from Google, Notepad LM, just experimental, and this isn't a sales pitch because it's free. Notepad LM, I'm loving it at the moment because you just basically put a load of PDF documents into it. So they may be company prospectuses or research papers, whatever, and you tell it to go off and give you a summary. And then it produces an 8-minute audio podcast, which sounds like a male and female just talking about the subject. And it's awesome because, if you're on the train or whatever, you're now listening to this podcast about, a new project launching or whatever. And it just sounds like a podcast show. What's the business benefit of that? I'm not quite sure yet. Oh, but I'm sure someone will work it out. So I agree, Ken. I think a lot of the stuff is kind of wavering off at the moment, and it's just being replaced by other hype. So I think every 6 months, this is where I think some of my project papers or white papers should just say, percent hype, percent type thing, and it's just parameterized in terms of what it's going to be about.
Yeah, I agree. Like the AI projects that came out, they're all like, they had no use case. Like they're just using the AI terminology and buzzwords, but they're not solving any sort of problem. Obviously you've got like the top projects, they're all like Fetch and all that kind of stuff, and they've got like professors and some of the top guys in the world in the team. And then if you look at the rest of them, they're just like you'll have projects which are like AI image generators. Like you don't need to raise money or do a crypto project to have something like that, right? So I do think there is a big opportunity there for decent projects who actually build something with a good use case to come into that sector and like do well. At the same time, like altcoins haven't really been pumping, right? So it's the same money just flowing around from project to project with no serious use case. So that's why I don't think any of the projects that have come out in the AI sector really have done anything. But if you search hard enough, there probably are really good builders out there building amazing things that we probably haven't seen yet.
I just wish that some of these incredible builders, and you're absolutely right, that there's some absolute superstars in the space. I just wish they'd actually work on things that are needed as opposed to problems that they want to solve.
Yeah.
And if they're going to solve problems, could they go off and solve some new and interesting problems instead of trying to repeat the same problems that everyone has? I just get the feeling that they just want to reinvent the wheel. Sorry, Arnold.
Yeah, no, just on the AI front, I talked to a developer who will remain nameless, but was recently at one of the big AI companies, let's say, and as an engineer, and he said no one in actual AI cares. They say it's mostly blockchain people trying to get into the AI funding narrative. So I don't know how true that is, but he wasn't impressed with most of them.
Yeah, but it's a bit like, I mean, I guess we're talking here about using technologies for new ideas, whereas my space tends to be about using technologies in existing industries and existing sectors to kind of like reinvent them. And I've been able to use that under the emerging technology banner for many years, because if I go in and speak to company directors about, hey, I'd like to help you re-engineer your company, I don't even get through the door to be shown out the door type thing. And if you say, well, I'd like to help with a business transformation, they go, no, we did all of that years ago. But if you say, this certainly happened 8 to 4 years ago, I'd say, if you say, well, I'm looking at how we're adopting blockchain, they'd go, oh, that sounds interesting, come on in. And you'd have a chat and you'd discover that they've not got a technology problem, they've got a business process problem. And I'm seeing the same with large language models, with machine learning, all this kind of thing. That if you say, I'd like to come in and chat to you about a re-engineering project, no interest. If you say, I'd like to look at how we could use machine learning, which is this new hot topic, or Gen AI or wherever, it at least gets you through the door to have the conversation, where you then discover that what they've got is a business process issue. And the technology is almost arbitrary type thing. But that's because I work, in traditional financial services where they've got a lot of legacy applications, and they're just trying to work out ways of making their lives easier. So
Yeah.
is that about it for the week, folks? Nothing else happening?
What blockchains in the top 30 are you guys most bullish on?
It depends. I'm an advocate, and I think there's a few other purists in the space, that when you say bullish, I think of it in terms of the technology and the technology adoption, not on the associated cryptocurrency price. Because
I would say a mix of both. Like,
Yeah.
which cryptos do you think will get adopted, like, by the end of this bull run kind of thing?
I still think, Bitcoin, its uses evolve. So exactly as you're talking about ordinals, that's kind of like an evolution from what it was originally intended for. Ethereum, still very popular. A couple of the other blockchains, Cardano, again, growing community. But then equally, Arnold was mentioning EOS earlier on, which did a massive raise years ago, was building up a great community presence, and then it's kind of gone away. So I'm not even sure what's going on these days, but they had some great parties, if I remember correctly. I don't know, what do other people think? What are the blockchains to watch out for at the moment?
Personally, I think because we're heading towards the era of central bank digital currencies, you have to look at like which cryptos are getting adoption from that side. So in my opinion, it's probably Stellar Lumens, because they're getting the most adoption with real world businesses. Not that I'm a fan of Stellar Lumens, but I think this cycle, banks are starting to use it and it's a CBDC. So I personally am heading in that kind of direction, rather than the likes of EOS and ADA. I think, you know, XRP, XLM, these kind of blockchains, maybe Aave. Yeah.
I was going to quickly offer, I think anything that is considered to be ISO 20022 compliant, because that fits quite nicely with the existing financial payments standards. I agree. So almost anything beginning with an X at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, that's my opinion. I think CBDCs, unfortunately, as much as I'm against them, I think those cryptocurrencies will outperform.
So it's interesting because most CBDCs, unless they're based on, as you say, like Ripple protocol or XLM or something, most of them are not cryptocurrencies. That they might inherit some of the features, but they're not in their own right crypto. But there is a lot of work going on them. You know, I know the Bank of England's got a project going on, which I think's been running for about 12 months now. And one of the things they said from the outset is that it won't be cryptocurrency based, but it may well utilize some of the blockchain features that they're seeing. So programmability, you know, being one aspect of that. So I'm not quite sure whether you would describe any cryptos as being CBDCs or vice versa. But
yeah, I mean, I would only say XRP and XLM are the only ones, like, because XLM literally partnered with MasterCard a few days ago. So like, you know, banks are starting to use it. Even like USDC, right, which is the most regulated stablecoin, is on Stellar Lumens. So those are the projects I'm kind of watching. But yeah, there's not many. Like there's only a couple, and they're not like actual CBDCs. But I do think they will eventually have the same properties and eventually kind of become CBDCs because banks are starting to use them.
But my hope is that ultimately there'll be a blurring where you'll end up with an application on your mobile phone, which some of us will call a crypto wallet, some of us will call a bank account, but behaviorally you won't know any difference. You know, and so that will allow you to pay for something in dollars, pounds, or Bitcoin, and it doesn't really matter. It's the same app on the same phone. And in fact, I think with likes of Revolut, you can do that already type thing where you can choose the currency. And I think you're right that there's going to be a growth with CBDCs and it'll just blur over and you won't know any better, or most people won't know any better and they won't need to. So we'll see where that goes. So that's for the hopefully not too distant future. So with that, we're probably a good place to finish for the day. So folks, thanks for coming along. Ali, really interesting to hear your stuff. I say again, hope everything goes well tomorrow. Always a fun day. Ken, thanks for joining as well. Arnold, Gabriella, who stays quietly in the background there, just listening and absorbing stuff. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you all again next week.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.